What's up, guys? Eric Prey, Focus Fishing Guide Service, Table Rock Fishing Intel. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock. It is Monday, August the 23rd. I'm going to shoot this today, but probably won't get it posted until sometime tomorrow. Out at Taneycomo today, but have been on Table Rock pretty much for the last, pretty much every day last week I was on Table Rock. I think I did one trout trip last week and everything else was on Table Rock. This week we're starting off on Taneycomo. Got a long day tomorrow, so probably won't have time to shoot this tomorrow. Getting it done today. As far as our lake level is concerned, we're at 916.68 this morning. Puts us about 3/10 below normal pool. Beaver's still a couple feet high. Bull shoals is dropping fast. I think they're around 11 or 12 feet high, and they didn't run a whole lot of water over the weekend. I think they only ran for a couple hours on Table Rock yesterday, but they are scheduled to run for about 4 or 5 hours today, and same with Beaver. So, you know, just kind of matching that flow, coming into Table Rock, going out down to Taneycomo, and then into Bull Shoals. Water temperature, we're kind of hovering around that 83 to 85 mark pretty much all over the lake. You will find more and more water, especially by this weekend with the heat we're going to get. If you go up in the rivers, it would not surprise me by the weekend to see some 90+ degree water, like up the Kings or way up the James, way up Long Creek. There's definitely a potential for that with the amount of hot weather we're supposed to get this week. You know, the bite's changing. We are catching fish, doing a few different things. Best way to stay on top of that, of course, become a pro member, Table Rock Fishing Intel, get those daily reports, weekly reports, monthly reports, the feature videos, all that information that we put out there for you on a regular basis. You can get all that as a pro member on Table Rock Fishing Intel. But if you're coming down, so you're going to fish the lower end of the lake, you know, still drop shot's still king on the lower end right now with either a shad shape, cut tail, UV drop shot worm, chompers drop shot worm. And we're still finding fish on those 3 different locations like we have been for a while. You can catch them on gravel for a little bit, usually 25 to about 35 foot deep. Then I can catch a few off the cables on the ends of the bigger docks around that 20 to 30 foot deep, and then I can catch them out of trees around that 20 to 30 foot deep too. It's just a matter of, you know, one day they're here, the other day they're on the other spot. So you got to be a little flexible, got to be able to move around and find these fish in some different locations. Catching them on a swim bait, Kitech 2.8, and we're catching a few on the 3.3. Most of those fish, it's early in the morning. They're schooling fish. They're chasing shad on the surface. For some reason or another, I can't seem to get them to eat a spook or a popper or something like that like you normally can when they're chasing on the surface. But if I throw a swim bait through them and kind of burn it and kill it, I can catch more fish on a swim bait. So we've been throwing the swim bait quite a bit. And then we are starting to see some fish show up on a football jig, mostly on gravel and rock mix points. Seems like days where they're moving a little bit of water is a little bit better. And if it's, of course, if it's cloudy or rainy, it's going to be better. But have been able to catch a few on the lower end on a peewee football jig and on the regular football jig as well. So keep that in mind as well. Those fish, you know, they're 15 to about 20 feet deep. Some of them as deep as shallow as 12 right off the bat, but you can catch them on a jig down there as well. Going to Kimberling City area, same bites are working, drop shot bites, same deal. Hit one of those 3 locations, either the gravel points, the trees, or the boat docks. Same baits, shad shape, cut tail, UV drop shot worm, chompers drop shot worm, those are all working. Swim bait bite, that bite's kind of the same there as it is down by the lower end. If you see these fish chasing shad, throw a swim bait in them. We've been catching a few fish doing that. Have been catching fish spoon jacking a little bit better this past week in the mid-lake area, either throwing the scuba spoon or the Watson spoon from River to Sea, or throwing the sexy spoon. Deeper docks have been better, and anywhere you can get all the way back to the walkway really has been better. There doesn't seem to be a key depth that they're in. Well, I shouldn't say that. Most of the fish are suspended under the docks around 20 feet, but as far as the overall depth, it really doesn't seem to matter. But pay attention to your line as that's falling, because that spoon jacking bite's been pretty good this last week, and then the football jig bite in the mid-lake as well. You know, peewee football jig or the full-size heavy cover football jig. Both of those have been working. Gravel and rock mix points as shallow as 10 feet deep early, but as the sun comes up, back out a little bit, and you can catch them as deep as 25 foot deep on those gravel and rock mix points. Go up the James. The James is still doing pretty good. We're still catching fish on top water up the James that throw in either a plopper or a choppa or a buzzbait right up against the bank continues to work on those 45-degree chunk rock banks or ledge rock banks. Been catching quite a few fish doing that, especially first thing in the morning. You can prolong that bite by following the shade. Just kind of watch where the shade line is, and it'll really position those fish up there shallow. Once that's over, I've been catching fish on those same banks on a a Jewel Pro Spider jig. Been throwing the 7/16. Best color for me has been Okeechobee Blue with the middle size Versacraw on it, and a little bit of orange on the pinchers. Not loading the boat, but most of those fish are about 10 to about 20 feet deep on those steeper banks. It's just a little bit better, a little bit funner bite than we had lately. And then the brush pile bite, it has definitely kicked on a little bit, catching them out of those deeper brush piles, anywhere from, I'm gonna say 10 to about 20 foot deep, but most of the ones I've been catching have been in that 12 to 15 foot range on a big worm, mostly on a 10-inch worm, and Texas rig with a 5/16 weight, and just working it over each limb. As I pull it over the limb and let it fall, that's when I'm getting bit. So keep an eye on that. That brush pile bite's really starting to turn on up there as well. White River, same deal. Drop shot is working. Same sort of locations. Gravel points, ends of docks, trees, shad shape, cut tail, UV drop shot worm, Chomper's drop shot worm. All those are working. Average depth on the bottom, they're 25 to 35. And the trees and on the cables are around 20 foot deep. It's pretty much the same all over the lake. Swim bait bite, again, you see these fish busting. I was out on Saturday and we probably caught as many on a swim bait as we did drop shotting after the storms rolled through, because they just started coming up busting on shad, and we throw a swim bait into them and we could get bit doing that. Even was throwing a popper through them and couldn't get a sniff on the popper. I don't know why, they wouldn't even swirl at it, but if you threw a swim bait through them, you'd get bit. So throwing either the Kitech 2.8 or 3.3, swing impact fat, color doesn't seem to matter as long as it's shad colored. They'll eat just about anything. Football jig bite's been really good up the White River as well. About from Campbell Point up seems to be the best locations. A little bit better the further up you go, but again, it's those gravel and rock mix points. They're as shallow as 10, 12 feet deep early. Then when the sun comes up, they'll back out and get as deep as about 20 or 25 foot. Plus, you catch some bonus walleye up there as well on the peewee and on the heavy cover football jig. Spoon jack and bite, didn't really spoon jack up there, but I'm sure you can catch them spoon jacking up there as well with either a scuba spoon, Watson spoon, or the Strike King spoon. All those will be working as well. And then that topwater bite too. We had a really good day last week up there throwing a topwater right on those steeper banks, chasing the shade. We managed to make that bite last almost until noon last week when we were out, just by following that shade line. And until that sun got right up to where we didn't have any shade, we're throwing that chopo, throwing a whopper plopper, and throwing a buzzbait right up against those steeper 45-degree chunk rock and ledge rock banks and catching fish right up there shallow. And most of those fish are largemouth, and they seem to be a lot better quality than the fish you're catching offshore right now. Guys, we got 2 more weeks in Labor Day, and then we get the lake back to ourselves for the most part. Boat traffic's been down. I mean, it was busy this weekend, but during the week, the boat traffic's really been down. So we're already starting to see the end of summer coming. Bite's been good. The football jig bite is really starting to turn on a little bit early. I'm hoping this hot weather doesn't kill that and force those fish back down. But you know, the football jig bite's been really good. We had a little bit of rain, so that kind of freshened the water up. So a lot of different bites going on, a lot of different ways to catch them. Best way to stay on top of it, become a pro member of Table Rock Fishing Intel. Get those daily reports, weekly reports, all that information that will help you know before you go to the lake how you're going to catch fish. But if you're coming down and want to hire a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743. Hit my website, focusfishing.com, and either shoot me an email or book online. Either way, I get back to you as soon as I can. Guys, thanks for watching the videos. Again, check out Table Rock Fishing Intel if you haven't done so. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.